Guest is Gigi. One of the questions I have here is, can we learn lessons without experiencing pain? Yes, you can learn lessons. Many of us have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning lessons in an academic setting. We can learn lessons here without experiencing pain. So without a doubt, you can learn lessons without experiencing pain. The difference is pain and excitement are indicators that you have a lesson to learn. It's an opportunity to find the light, the love, and the lessons where most people, unlike here, want to experience lessons, that are open to experiencing lessons. The key component or distinction that you want to make is that in the times that most people stop, I move to a better place, a better position, a better situation by understanding that pain and excitement are indicators that I have a lesson to learn in order to get to a better place, a better situation, or make my situation better. But you absolutely can learn lessons without experiencing pain. Hopefully, this BYOQ session is a good example of being able to learn lessons without experiencing any pain and just enjoying the ride consistently and persistently. Anyway, Gigi, welcome up. What question you have for me?
Hi, David. First, I just want to give a big shout out to you and Jake and your team because you guys are amazing. I'll have an ask and a question. So I'll start with my question is, what drives you? Because for me, I've been watching you and you're consistent in everything you do from the Instagram Live, the podcast, the Friday sessions, and all of it. Um, and then it's like if you could follow me on Clubhouse because you just find the rooms that you're in, that's my ask. And also everybody, if you really want to learn from someone, follow David because he changed my life. So yeah, what drives you? It's not ego, it's not money. It's what's the thing behind it? What drives
Yeah.
David?
So what drives me, number one, is my big vision. I truly believe through that connecting the dots backwards that I can change the world by empowering 1,000 people like you, Gigi, that are learning the daily practices, the values that we have in order to effectuate happiness, not just for you, but for other people. So 1,000 times 1,000 is a million times 1,000 is a billion. I want to create a collective consciousness of the light, the love, and the lessons of happiness, of being able to create abundance of a universe of more than enough. So one is, the bigger picture of, creating a better world, this happy world. But for me, what keeps me driven is being motivated every day to get up, get back up, get started, get back started, motivated only to spend minutes and moments in ego-based consciousness, but inspired to enjoy the best I can every day, the consistent every day, persistent without quit pursuit of that potential of empowering over 1 billion people. Meaning that other people may look at, I have to do this. I have to do Instagram Live every day. I have to do office hours. I have to do the clubhouses that I do. I have to do the weekly trainings. I've been doing them for over 20 years. And my mindset is I get to do it. And before you start doing anything, you at least have to get to the attitude and mindset that you get to do it. And in order to do that, practice finding the light, the love, and the lessons, learning to love everything you do. I have a saying, if I can't learn to love to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'll delegate it or not do it. But my first objective is to learn to love taking out the trash, doing the dishes, doing the IG lives, doing the trainings, learning to love it, finding the superpowers, the light, the love, and the lessons. And I certainly appreciate the compliments, but you give me far too much credit. Everyone out there, I may have been a catalyst to give you ideas or raise your awareness, but anyone out there that thinks I've changed their life, you're the one that changed your life. And I am just blessed to have you in mine. So thank you so much, Gigi.
Thank you, and I'll definitely listen to this maybe every day. So thanks for it.
Oh, you're too kind. All right, Casey Dawn, coming up, I'm going to read a quick question off here. What is your process for writing a book? My process for writing a book starts with learning lessons and having stories that teach those lessons and continually improving the stories and continually repositing. That means having a repository or a place to store all the lessons and the notes of the stories. I don't write out the stories. I have notations of stories that teach these lessons, and I'm constantly accumulating lessons and then creating stories that are either true or that aren't true or amalgamated, or stories from other people, and hopefully giving them credit enough of the time. I know it gets difficult to remember where we learn all these different lessons. I heard today on my clubhouse, it was so much fun. I do a takeaway for the day on Fridays, and someone said, "Oh, Sharon Lecter said, if you're not going to invest in yourself, who are you going to invest into?" And I'm sitting there going, "That's my mentor. That's what my mom told me when I wanted to drop out of law school. That's a story that I've told again and again. But did Sharon tell me this?" And I'm sitting there confused on who owns what story. It doesn't matter. Just have the lessons in the stories. Let's all share all the lessons and all the stories, not be scarce on who, what, where, or how. Do our best to acknowledge where we've learned them. And if not, just ask for forgiveness. All right, Casey, Don, you have a question for me.
Yes, first of all, thank you so much for the gems that you've been giving us. Even as far as just now, the collective consciousness, that's also awesome for a reminder of alignment. Today, what would you say has been your greatest investment? And what advice, and I'm sorry, and also what advice would you give to new entrepreneurs that are not where you are currently, that are just starting out?
Perfect. Well, I think it goes along with what Sharon was talking about, right? Investing in myself. But I think that investment in myself is made simply by understanding my non negotiables. So I invest number one in my health, because if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of anyone else. And that's my objective, is to create this collective consciousness, take care of others. So the investment that I make into myself, number one, is the investment in my health. Two, it's in my family. And three, it's in the activity I get paid for, all under the context that I can't give what I don't receive. And the way that I acknowledge that, or recognize that, or remember that, all of those words you can tell bring us together, is by giving it a minimum amount of time every single day. So I believe that 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. So I spend a minimum of an hour a day on my health, a minimum of 30 minutes with my wife. I've been married 23 years to my childhood dream girl. Notice I didn't say sweetheart. She hated me. But my childhood dream girl, I married in my late 20s. And then, of course, 30 minutes with my 10-year-old son and 2 minutes with my teenage daughters. I asked for five, they gave me two. And then a minute with my mom, simply to tell her that, number one, I'm healthy, which is what every mom wants to hear about their son. Two, I'm happy. Three, I love her. And four, I appreciate her, which means that she gives value to my life. And then, of course, I utilize my calendar and routines, adaptable routine and daily routine, in order to effectuate activity I get paid for, so I can make a lot of money to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Now, those people that aren't where I'm at in some realm of my life, a situation that I sit in that they want to be in, the number one thing, Casey, that I say is ask for help. The fastest way to get to where I am is ask me for help, so I can give you directions. And if I'm not the person that's sitting in a situation that you want to be in, then find the people that are and ask them for directions on how to get where they are. Not only will they give you directions, but usually they'll give you some assistance, some guides, some other people that along the way will keep the path clearer than it was for them, that they allow themselves to pay your dummy tax. I can't pay your federal or state tax, but I can pay your dummy tax. And I've paid a lot of dummy tax over the years, and so have so many remarkable entrepreneurs, millionaires, billionaires, celebrities, athletes, entertainers, who can actually change our lives with very little effort, with just a little bit of attention and intention. But they're not going to give you the intention and attention unless you ask for it. So learn that beautiful mindset that everyone's a sponsor of yours, everyone's a power sponsor of yours. There's no one that's outside of your realm, and it's your obligation to ask, to prove to them that you are part of them, that no tree has two branches. The branches are connected. They wouldn't go to war against themselves. So my best piece of advice for every entrepreneur that's not where they want to be, which is me as well, and I still have mentorship and find those people and ask them for directions. Do you know anyone that can help me, is the magic question. Hope that helped on both of your questions, Casey.
Thank you so much for sharing. It has.
Oh.
I jotted it down, especially the daily calendar that you have, to kind of the reminders or affirmations you do. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, I'm going to bring up one of my Ivy Leaguers, Garrett White, working for the Network Advisory. I'm going to take a quick question, Garrett, as you come up here. What's the best purchase you've recently made? I think the best purchase I've ever made is for my 50th birthday, had 50 birthday parties around the world to build two community centers with the Unstoppable Foundation, which I'm the chairman of. Recently, wow, it's so difficult. There's very few things I buy. I've done some home improvements for my wife, which made her really happy. So that was there. My beach house years ago was a great investment. But I would say that any money that I've donated had to be the best purchase. Remember, money doesn't buy you love or happiness. When you realize that it gives you the power to shop, and when you shop for things to help other people, those will be the best purchases that you make. That's great. Anyway, Garrett, welcome up to here, and hopefully you have a question for me, my friend.
How you doing, Dave? It's great to hear you speak as always. Thanks for having me up here.
Of
I just
course.
wanted to ask a little bit about. I remember you talking a lot when I worked for you about being a student of your calendar, but I wanted to ask you about how you design your calendar to be the most productive. Because something I've been running into is I get into I have a 30-minute call here, a 30-minute call there, and I wish I had more time to kind of chunk out blocks where I could really sit down and be productive. But I wanted to ask you about just designing your calendar and how you go about that.
Yeah, it's being number one, be a student of the calendar for everyone else that hasn't worked for me. It means to pay attention to and give intention to the activity you get paid for, activity you don't get paid for, the activity you have planned and the activity you don't have planned, and your sleep. So, the number one way to be productive, accessible, and gracious with your time, the man made construct of time, is to start your day today, meaning tomorrow, today. I have an unwinding routine. So, I work my calendar's backwards. My tomorrow starts today at 9 p.m. I have an unwinding routine. Anyone that knows me understands that I think that that unwinding routine, the start of my tomorrow, is most critical. One, to set up my body to recover, but even more important, to clear the way, clear the interference, corrosion, and voids that we have out of the way for a 6 to 8 hour session of being connected to the greatest source of light, love, and lessons, to have a clear connection to what we are truly, what our essence is, without any ego interfering, without any doubts, fears, excitement, resentment, guilt, separation occurring. And so I believe first in your calendar is start backwards, start with your unwinding routine to determine what time you will plateau and grow or wake up the next day. Uh, by separating the calendar by activity that you have planned and you don't have planned, you need to have certain time rules. So for me, I have a 520 rule. 520 rule says that my objective of all phone calls is to limit them to 5 minutes when all possible. And my belief is that after 5 minutes on a phone call, you're just visiting. And if you want to schedule time to visit with somebody, then do so in the period of time that you don't have planned. If you are trying to be productive, meaning providing value, accessible, meaning accessible to as many people as you can, and accessing what you want, you need to make sure that you are very keen on those objectives of utilizing your time in a productive, accessible, and gracious manner. Gracious manner means that you're always trying to find the lessons and the light in what you're doing. In other words, learning to love all your activities. And so make sure you utilize 5 minutes for phone calls, 20 minutes for meetings. After 20 minutes, you're just visiting. There are exceptions, trust me, but I really try to stay keen on utilizing my time in that way. But when you start studying the free time in your calendar, the unplanned time, you're going to find a whole world of opportunity for productivity and accessibility. You're going to find a lot of different things that you can do according to the values that you take inventory of every day. So, utilizing your calendar with different rules of time. Start at the back end of time. Start your tomorrow today. Have an unwinding routine so you have the maximum amount of energy going into the morning, and then being able to study your time by what you have planned, what you don't have planned, and of course your sleep. Does that help and clarify some things, Garrett?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Dave. I really like the idea of unwinding and starting tomorrow today. It's great.
Cool. They didn't teach you that at Yale, but I'm working on it. They do have happiness classes there, though, don't they?
They do. I took it.
Right. I want to be a visiting professor for that. So hook me up. All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Garrett. All right. Next up, when I take a question here, one of my business partners from New York, the CEO of Media Abundance, Mike Mamula, give me a second to answer a question from online, and then I'll take you. Here we go. Um, what investments do you regret making? Um, so I don't have regrets, right? Regrets is stumbling over the roadblocks behind me or the speed bumps behind me. But some of the investments that were stupid that I learned great lessons from. I bought a golf course, learned a valuable lesson. You don't want to be the first owner of a golf course. You always want to be a third owner. By that time, they've invested all the money, built it up, and went bankrupt, and you can just pick it up for a steal. Um, I learned the most from the ego based investments. So the things that I bought that I didn't need, the cars, the boats, the ski mountains, the properties, just that were things I didn't need to make me feel better, or different things I didn't need to make me feel better, or I invested in things to impress people. I've invested in things to impress people I didn't like. So I learned the biggest lessons from ego based investments, emotional investments, instead of mathematical investments. And what I mean by a mathematical investment, before I get to Mike Mamola, the biggest mistake people make in investments is they don't take in consideration their timing and risk tolerance before they start evaluating. I will tell you right now, you will make and save millions of dollars in your lifetime if you have one simple discipline of taking inventory of your timing and risk tolerance before you assess an investment opportunity. So many people come to me with so many different investment opportunities and ask me what they should do. And I'll ask them, well, what's your timing and risk tolerance? I don't know. That's not going to do it. That's allowing yourself to buy on emotion for logical reasons. That'll screw you up. Do not buy on or invest on emotion for logical reasons. You'll end up like I did, buying things you don't need to impress people you don't like. So make sure you know your timing and risk tolerance. Make sure that the investments that you make, that you trust the people that are helping you and you vet the shit out of them. Ask the hard questions and you will make more money and help more people than you ever imagined. All right, Mr. Mamula, you're up, my friend.
Hey, hey, hey. This is a blessed day. This is like a bi-coastal trifecta between speaking to you this morning on office hours, then breakfast with champions, and now. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Mine kind of dovetails and segues right into what you were just talking about, Dave. And, for me, one of the greatest things among many that I've gotten from you as a partner and a mentor is number one, the elimination of the ego, which leads to so much more, right? Reducing or eliminating that resistance that comes from having an ego. And that came into with regard to, being a coach and a mentor and also having coaches and mentors. For me, coaching or mentoring at a high level, but from you that I learned that you have mentors kind of that are at all different levels in many different places. So this could be a mentor of yours, perhaps for diet or for cryptocurrency that's 20 years younger. And for me, that was eye-opening years ago. I did that. Like, what can I learn from somebody who, is 20 years younger from you, that hasn't achieved quote unquote much in life, and all of a sudden opening my eyes to, wait a minute, they know more about cryptocurrency than I do, and learning from them, or now NFTs and different things. So for me, that was a huge, huge milestone, and I thank you for that. That kind of segues into my question. It's something that I've heard you speaking about recently. Is whether we are or whether we have coaches or mentors, what's the difference between those, and how do we give and how do we get value between each of the two, a coach or a mentor?
Yeah, it's a late. Thanks very much, Mike, and I appreciate the comments as well as the question, because you and I have discussed, right, the years I've lied to people when they ask me what's the difference between a coach and a mentor, and I said $500 an hour, and that was kind of a cheating answer. But I've really learned a coach is someone that brings the best out of you, and all of us have had coaches and need coaches. They may not know more than us about what we're doing, and they may not be able to perform as well as we can, but they have a keen eye and a keen way about them to bring the best out of us. And so we all need coaches. And a mentor is someone that does sit in a position that we want to be in and gives you that knowledge and those relationships in order to accelerate what you want. And so make sure you determine, is someone a coach, is someone a mentor, or is someone a coach slash mentor? I try to provide both of those when I help people, both with inspiration to bring the best out of people, but also supply where I can situational knowledge, experience, dummy tax, relationship capital to help people get to where they want to be in an accelerated way. So it's a great distinguished man. In fact, next week's training for everyone is being vulnerable, not perfect. And I think asking for help, finding a mentor is one of the first indications that you are understanding the invulnerability of being vulnerable and not perfect, and allowing people to know that you don't know, no matter what age they are, as much as they other person knows, and asking those right questions. So thank you so much, Mike. Now let's bring up Rasmus Sandstrom. I'm going to ask a question online and then we'll get to you. Favorite speech you've ever given and why? I There's so many great ones. I think my speech at the Denny's annual meeting was one of my favorites. My TED Talk online is one of my favorites. Uh, and the reason is I think it was the most impactful. I think it inspired the most amount of people to inspire other people, clearly defining 4 values and 5 daily practices that can change your life and allow you to do so. Those are all on my podcast, the playbook. You can get all of those. So thank you for asking that question. Rasmus, you're up, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Rasmus Sandström here from Sweden. I'm a former professional ice hockey player and esports veteran. And I know that you are an esports investor. I currently run, this is not a pitch asking for money, just to be fair. I'm an esport entrepreneur where I run an esport edtech company called Learn to Esport, and our product is called Game Plan. And we're basically helping kids to utilize the skills they learn in esports in their future work life. Either it's basically player development to help them get better players, or if they want to work in the industry, for example. So my question is kind of, since you're into esport, what is your take on the kind of the player development slash educational side of the esport industry? Since that is a kind of an emerging area.
Oh, yeah, no, it's extremely exciting to me. Obviously, I ran the most notable sports agency in the world, partnered with Warren Moon, dealt in the marketing and media side of endorsements, licensing, all types of appearances, the basic monetization of brands within the context of a league or organization. The audience has never been so big, and the access to that audience has never been so engaged as it is within the context of esports. The engagement and monetization of that engagement is at its infancy. It's so early. There's so much opportunity to understand where we can all elevate our brands and make money from that. I mean, we at Overactive Media, where me, Marcus Colston, and The Weekend and Meta World Peace invested early on, they're building a $500 million arena in Toronto for esports. That kind of money is not being poured into an industry or a platform that is not going to grow. And so I would, as I always say, study history of emerging sports, of things like the UFC and the NFL. Take the examples of different successful endorsement, licensing, and branding opportunities that exist today in other fields. And when we study history, let's learn the human nature behind it, because that human nature never changes. And it allows us to have some awareness and insight on how best to take advantage of the problems that are going to be and the needs that will be available. Just like during COVID, I looked immediately at, what a great opportunity it was, because there's so many more problems and such a big need, as my friend Sharon Lecter taught me from Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the more problems and the more need, the better it is for entrepreneurs. Well, there's huge opportunity in esports as an entrepreneur. So go ahead, study history of all the leagues, organizations, teams, and branding and licensing that has occurred. learn the human nature that we applied to it, and then see how that human nature will be applied in the future. And I think you'll find some unbelievable opportunities. Okay, Rasmus?
Yeah, thank you very much. And we're actually partnering up with some NFL and NBA teams soon. So please keep your eye out for us.
Yeah, go ahead, reach out. Anybody can reach out to me, david@dmeltzer.com. More than happy to help. I got a variety of different introductions I can make, my books, anything that you need. Just I ship me a book.com. I will sign it, send it for free. All my exercises on how to scale a business, branding, any of these issues, please. I got an exercise that I created for this BYOQ here. So david@dmeltzer.com. It's all free. Don't worry. I'm going to bring up Stephanie Sutton after I finish this question. So, Stephanie, get ready. Here we go. What exercise do you use to forgive yourself? Well, forgiveness to me, number one, is super important. It's not just because it gives peace to all of our relationships, to all of our business, to all of our life. Forgiveness is the key to peace, but it actually gives us certainty. Because if you can pursue your ability to forgive the unforgivable, knowing that we don't forgive others because they deserve it, we forgive others because we deserve it, that we then can institute an exercise of forgiveness, which is simply one of being a ferocious Buddha, the same one that we utilize to practice ending fear, is that when we identify things that are of interference in its nature, things that are putting ourselves in our own way, what I call ego based consciousness, we simply have to, one, practice identifying all of those different things that we do that require us to forgive ourselves. You know, the needs that we feel to be jealous and guilty and resentful, separate, inferior, superior, the times that we need to compare ourselves and are stealing our joy, the times that we put judgments and conditions on other people, with times that we are not living to our higher self, that we make the mistake and oversell, back end sell, lie, manipulate, or cheat others, or just do things that we are not happy with ourselves. The first thing we have to do is identify it. The second is stop, drop down to our center or neutral, and then forgive ourselves. Remind yourself you don't know what you don't know, that we make mistakes every day. Let's limit them to minutes and moments of the day. We're going to have them every day, but we're not going to carry them on and hopefully not repeat them day after day, month after month, year after year. And so if we can limit those human instances when we are not perfect, which is that training next week, be vulnerable, not perfect, and we don't know what we don't know, go ahead and stop, drop, and roll. Don't take yourself so seriously. Forgive yourself, and you can give that gift of forgiveness to other people. Not only will you have peace, but you'll have certainty. Yeah, who is that?
My name is Jeremy. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
I just want to ask a question. What's the best way to start, like a course to sell people? Like, how do you what's the best way to go about that?
Sure, no problem. Jeremy, let me answer that one next. I was just waiting. I apologize. I'm going to answer that question. Stephanie was waiting, and then I'm going to get to Jeremy. Stephanie, go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, brother. Steph, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, this is my first time speaking on here, so I wasn't sure how to unmute.
Nope, I'm on these things all the time, and I just forget to unmute. So we're in the same boat.
Always learning, right? Don't be afraid to make a fool of yourself. So I love everything that you've been talking about. It actually feeds into the question that I have. The idea of like mentorship, encouragement, accountability, studying human nature, understanding that things like forgiveness and vulnerability are part of business, not separate from them. And my question is, so just to give a little bit of background, I'm a 15-year executive assistant to the CEO. I've supported different CEOs in different industries and had a right-hand seat to what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to be successful, what it means to have impact. I specifically chose the role of EA because I wanted that bird's eye view. You know, what is the person who's running the organization feeling, thinking, how are they administering their calendar, which is, you know, I have a lot of power in administering their calendar. So my question is, how can I turn all of that insight, my interest and ability to support other people into something that supports me outside of, you know, being one person's executive assistant and then dispensing good advice and support to my friends and community? How can I actually turn that into something that's more impactful, something that maybe is even a career, what's the first step?
First step, awesome question, Stephanie, and thank you for joining and welcome for the first time. And you are wonderfully perfect and vulnerable. So, the first step is to take inventory of your capabilities. So, I'm constantly looking at the skills that I have, want, or need. I'm looking at the knowledge that I have, want, or need, not only of what, but of who. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people don't spend the time to get the knowledge of who can help us. And then also just aligning my desire, that unbelievable innate ability that I must be what I can be. And when I'm taking inventory of the skills, knowledge, desire, these capabilities, I start noticing where they're synergistic or supplementary to my family, my friends, my community, my country, the world, wherever it may lie. And after I see where the synergies and supplementary alignment is with my capabilities and the problems and the needs of those different areas, I then look to see how I can monetize it, and monetize it with one thing in mind, because I believe in providing more value, and not only providing more value, but carrying the energy that I'm providing more value. I call it the 120 rule, and I'm more than happy to send you that exercise as well. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll send you what I'm talking about in carrying the energy of value. And then the final step is, can you articulate? And this is where people fall down. They believe in it, they figured it out, but there's about 10% of the people that I meet in this situation, they've done all the work, but they haven't practiced articulating the quantifiable value of these capabilities to exceed what they're asking for. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a form of giving when you're capable of doing so. So I would start by taking inventory of those capabilities, skills, knowledge, and desire, being able to see and align where it's supplementary or synergistic to the closest, most relative people all the way throughout the world. Distinguish yourself with value of how you can monetize that, and then practice articulating that quantifiable value to exceed what you're asking for. And you'll have a complete formula for success for either helping people in a philanthropic way or building a business and having either a side hustle or a completely different successful venture using all those great years of experience that you've had in order to facilitate providing value to others. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that tremendously. And I think if I could just pick your brain for one more minute,
Sure.
it would be I definitely want to go through the skills of have, want, or need. I think that's super helpful and something that I haven't done. I've done the who can help and I've done the articulating. I just haven't really solidified the skill set, because it's all these soft skills which are very hard to monetize. And the way I've gotten around that, and this is where I need maybe a little bit more help, is what I'm offering, or what I think I can help people with, is creating a deeper level of intimacy with themselves, because that is what all intimacy with other people is based on. It's how comfortable and how vulnerable you can be with yourself that then triggers and lets people know that you're a safe person to be vulnerable with. So I'm just not sure how to monetize that, because it just feels like, emotional intelligence should be free. I know that's just shooting myself in the foot, but
Well, I will tell you that I make a ton of
Sounds
money.
kind of compassionate.
Yeah, of course it is, Jeremy. And I do monetize that, understanding, how lonely it is, for example, for executives, and for their ability to find inside of them what they're looking for outside, and the unhappiness and interference that they create, not only for themselves, but for others within their organization, which has a bottom line effect. And if you look to see which people in which positions hold these feelings, these emotional feelings that you're talking about, and how it works to create interferences, voids, and shortages, how it has a bottom line effect. We went through this with emotional intelligence in the human resources space for years, with the major corporations adapting it over the last 2 decades to facilitate how wellness is affecting our bottom line. And I think the same thing can be held for the inner workings that you're talking about, the vulnerability. And I personally work with some of the key executives around the world with billionaires and millionaires, and they are clearly capable of understanding, and I'm clearly capable of articulating the bottom line value that some of these ego-based consciousnesses, as I call them, or getting out of their own way, not only has affected the business as a whole, but it's amazing what one divorce will cost a company when executive. So hone into the pragmatic to blend it with the emotional, and I think you'll find you have extraordinary capability to monetize that. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Steph. I got to move on to Jeremy. He's dying to pump in here. Jeremy Green, welcome back again. Thank you, Steph. Jeremy, repeat your question real quick. I know. Now I lost him. All right. That's hilarious. All right. I'm going to move to another question. Thank you again, Stephanie. I didn't mean to rush you off. I'm going to take another question online. Then Christian Biscardi, you are next. How do you come up with your daily routine and how often does it change? First of all, I think everyone should have two routines. You should have a daily routine that's based off of taking inventory of your what, your values, your who is going to help you, your how, being a student of your calendar, your now, what you can do now and what you need to move on for later by those inventory of values. And of course, this practice of ending fear. But you need not only to have a daily routine, mine starts at 9 o'clock because my tomorrow starts today, but you also need to have an adaptable routine with your non-negotiables. Because if you want to make God laugh at you, come up with a well-developed routine, and he'll throw in some in-laws, a bachelor party, or some great weather and a beach, and something will happen.
Sorry about that. I lost signal.
Oh, no problem. Go ahead, Jeremy. We'll put you back in here, and then we'll let Christian go. What was your question again?
So I want to be extremely honest with you because, like, I think I came in this room thinking you were one of those shitty life coaches, and because the whole app is covered full of them, right? I'm assuming you've seen them. They're all on here like selling, sales funneling people, right? But we actually have some pretty mutual businesses. So we're friends in the industry. I'm actually in the gaming industry. I work with like Frank from Rogue Nation and all that type of stuff. Quick question. Let me just ask you this. How do you prevent yourself from being taken advantage of in a sales funnel?
Okay. So
on Clubhouse.
Sure. Look, there's good.
Because there's like this.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of emotional tactics people are using on people on Clubhouse to get them into a sales funnel and then wrap them into like a $10,000 life coaching sale. Just kind of curious what your thoughts on that are.
Sure. So
I thought you actually want to,
No, we got it. Yeah. So here's what I say to everyone. Listen, everybody, you are accountable for two things. One, I believe you're accountable to trust everyone to start. And then you need to vet them. And this is how I vet this type of industry. Number one, make people guarantee what they're going to do. Have them work month to month. Do not allow them to lock them into anyone. Ask hard questions and ask for referrals that are not relative to the person to be able to verify what they're saying. We are accountable for trusting everyone and vetting them appropriately by doing and being more interested than interesting and doing our due diligence and asking the hard questions and getting the guarantees. And so few people are, especially in the coaching world, Jeremy, are willing to do that. And, look, I will tell everyone, because I have one of the top coaching practices, blessed.
Do you use the sales funnel?
No, I don't, because my philosophy is I give everything that I have, and I have a big coaching business. Everything I have, I give for free. And if somebody wants more access to me, then I provide, when they request it, an opportunity to work month to month with me only if I can guarantee profit. I don't deal in subjective value of, I love you, I love you, you love me. No, I want to work.
Would you say, David, you say there's a high volume of life coaches who are target marketing, I would say, underprivileged people to sell them life coaches?
Oh,
Would you say there's like,
unfortunately,
like a lot?
people, unfortunately, right? People utilize funnels in all directions to manipulate, cheat, lie, steal, oversell. And it's our accountability to help empower people to say, look, trust everyone, but vet them. Ask the hard
Right.
questions. And in every
Do you know who
industry,
JT Fox is on here?
yeah, I know who JT Fox is, but I will not comment on anybody. Like you
No,
vet.
I don't want you to comment. I'm just curious if you know that group of people, because I'm just going to ask you a very specific thing.
Sure.
So here's what's been happening. So people, they get up on stage, and this is not saying this is you. I'm just saying, I just want you to point out if this is true or not false for like how the shitty life coaches work. They get up on stage, they say a bunch of inspiring stuff. You go like, oh my God, I love this guy. They're then like, hey, slide in my DM. They then sell you like a $40 course, whatever course, and then they get you in, and then they immediately upcharge you to that like $10,000 course. You know what I mean? They do that. But what they're doing on here is they're telling people to take out second lines of credit.
Yeah.
They're telling people to mortgage their houses.
Yeah.
To pay them. It's like really, really wrong.
Okay. And look, that happens in every industry. And we don't even have to point out names because literally one thing I want people to realize, right? I've bought stuff off of stages before. Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Dean Graziosi. Yeah.
There's a great bunch of life coaches.
And the difference of what you're talking about and those people that changed my life is there's a quantitative value of buying things from them. And if someone's going to want me to borrow money in order to make money, then they better be able to guarantee me beyond anything secured that I'm going to make that money. So I'm just going to put it out there to everyone. Please make a rule. Do not borrow money to make money in anything unless somebody can give you a guarantee or a security on the money that you borrow. And that's a general rule for me. And you're talking to Jeremy, someone who lost over $100 million because I trusted everyone and didn't vet them. And I take accountability.
Yeah, no, you're in the gaming industry. I'm in the gaming industry. So like, I deleted my bio because I thought I was going to come up on stage and you were going to be a scummy person and I was going to call you on your shit, but you're not. which makes my heart like even better because I tell people not all life coaches are bad life coaches. There are a lot of good ones out there, and there's a lot of great ones like Tony Robbins is one of them I think is great, but a lot of them, 9 out of 10 of them are sketchy. You know what I mean? But like, me and you are in the same industry. We're in the gaming industry.
I love it, man.
Emoji chat, by the way.
All right, cool. I look forward to it, man. Hey, I want to tell everyone that there's bad people in every industry: judges, lawyers, doctors, dentists. So the best thing is, as a policy, whether they're a coach or whatever they are, trust and vet and listen to Jeremy. Jeremy, I appreciate the insight because sometimes we get real raw here, but it's really helpful for people. All right, I'm going to bring up Christian next. I appreciate you, Jeremy. Stay cool, stay calm. Vet and trust, as we say. Let me see here real quick. Let me see real quick here. What makes a good intern? Who is your favorite intern ever? This must be from an old intern. It's very simple to me what makes a good intern. An intern is someone that understands and leaves my internship program understanding gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. If they learn those 4 things, they're a good intern. They're a great intern. I know they are well equipped or empowered to make extreme growth in their life and acceleration of making money, helping people, and have fun. Gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. My favorite intern ever is my daughter, Marissa. So I copped out. Sorry, everybody else that ever worked for me. So my favorite intern is my daughter. I'm a cheeseball. All right. Anyway, Christian, you're up.
David, what's up? Jake, Mike, it's a pleasure seeing your guys' faces in these little circles as well. And my question's about exactly that. And I hope the room really can take a lot from it. But as an investor, entrepreneur, and executive, my question is, how do you get the same value from the handshake and the face-to-face meetings as you can from the virtual world that we're kind of living in now?
Well, I think there's 4 worlds, and we can't get exactly the same out of all four worlds. So we want to appreciate what we can get that's similar, but also appreciate the differences instead of looking for what's missing or what, is different. And we have to do the same thing with, our genders and our sexes and our colors. If we focus in on appreciating how they're the same and then appreciate the difference and utilize everyone to maximize their superpowers, we can do the same with the four platforms that are available today. And number one is in person, limited today, but in person has an emotional connection that's unavailable to other platforms. It has a touch component. There's all types of different looking in the eyes and feeling the energy component as well. Then you have email, and then you have phone, which I love. If we can't be there in person, I am a toughness and telephone person. I have a training on toughness and telephone. I got exercises, guides, and books on toughness and telephone. If you want free shit on toughness and telephone, Dave Meltzer is your man. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll give it to you for free. But telephone has a frequency, man. And I love it because telephone with the text and the voice component have so many of the similarities of all the platforms, but it carries a higher frequency, almost to the point that we're in person. And it has a voicemail capability. There's all types of things. If you don't know the power of telephone, check your voicemails tonight and see how few voicemails you have compared to emails, DMs, and even face-to-face encounterments that we have. And then finally, of course, the fourth one is media. And I lump together both traditional and digital media because I think the entertainment component of being able to utilize the laws of the universe to attract people with that type of, pre-recorded, live, whatever it is, media, it takes on a whole new realm. But my point to you, Christian, is appreciate how all these platforms are the same, but also do some, due diligence on your own of where can I appreciate the differences and when should I use those superpowers of in person, on the phone, email, and media in order to effectuate my objectives in a business context, a personal context. But I think a lot of people just kind of lump them all together and they're not very clear on when and how to use each of the platforms. And so they just say, oh, we can't meet in person. I'm at a standstill. I'm at a loss. No, it's just a problem and a need. There's an opportunity. Let's fill it by understanding and appreciating. Does that sound fair?
Sure does.
Awesome, my brother. Good to hear. Good to hear from you, by the way.
You too, brother. It's good to see you as well.
Thank you. Hey, everybody, I didn't say this before, but, the capital here, go ahead, connect with each other on here, follow each other, connect. There's so many people in here. Give them a follow, connect with them, ask them, do you know anyone that could help me? Let's utilize this community to maximize what we're trying to do, which in my opinion is make money, help people, and have fun. That's the platform that we're on. All right, I'm going to bring up John T, and I'm going to answer a quick question real quick and then get to John. What's the best leadership advice you have ever received? Oh, wow. I love this one. So the best leadership advice that I've ever received is the best quality of a leader is to be an intelligent follower. I love that. That changed my whole perception of leadership. I used to think a leader was a motivator. Then I learned the difference between motivation and inspiration, right? Motivation gets us up, gets us back up, gets us started, gets us restarted. Inspiration gets us there, utilizing those core values of gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. But the best leadership and the best leader advice and capability is to be an intelligent follower. And if you're an intelligent follower, people will follow you. And you will be able to align with the objectives of the collective consciousness, not just your individual needs, but the greater good that exists in all of us and through all of us for each other. Great question, by the way. I love that. All right, John T., you're up, my friend.
David, this is John from San Diego. First off, just want to say I'm very thankful for Clubhouse and different rooms like this where there's just a lot of value, especially if you want to grow. Got a couple, or really just two questions for you. What advice would you give to a 26-year-old who relatively new in their career. I'm fortunate to be part of a really good company, pretty young company, went public, was given stock options. Good opportunity here, love it, but also want to kind of start investing more in sort of side hustles and just different things. What advice for someone who's 26 and pretty young in their career?
Yeah, that's great. So number one, always get better at what you are doing to provide yourself more time and money. The more time and money you have, the more options and opportunities and safety and security that you have. Too many people, when they start doing well, including me when I was your age, I started to look and lose my focus on where my legs were, meaning that, the legs feed the lion. And so I wish I would have been focused on strengthening my legs at all times so I could go eat more and have more time and more money to do more and more security in case I screwed up and learned something along the way. So best piece of advice where you are right now is get better at what you're doing right now to have the objective of making more money and having more time, which will allow you to assess all the other things, combined with the second piece of advice, which is the two words that I have on my nightstand, which is radical humility. Radical humility is something that I learned from Dr. Wayne Dyer, taught me it years and years ago. Radical humility consists of, number one, every day reminding yourself that you're a hypocrite, that you're changing, growing, and you didn't know what you didn't know. Two, the humility to ask people for help that may sit in a situation that you want to be in. Humility also to forgive yourself, to be vulnerable, which next week's training is going to be about this exact point, being vulnerable and not perfect. Remind yourself about rule number 6. I took myself so seriously, John, when I was your age. And I wish somebody would have told me rule number 6, which is don't take yourself so seriously. That the more that you learn, the more you'll realize there's more variables and options and different types of things that happen that it'd be impossible for us to know what we think we know. And that instead, why not focus all my time, energy, and emotion with radical humility to search and seek consistently every day, persistently without quit, the pursuit of the truth or the potential that I want to have according to what I want, not what other people want, not what I don't want, not what's missing in my life, but what I want. So I think combined with understanding time and money at what I do to provide more, to provide options and security in the future, and then utilizing radical humility as a superpower, as a tool, a weapon in order to facilitate learning more, growing more, and accelerating in a quicker pace. I think those two things combined at 26 will make you an incredible source of power moving forward. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that sounds really fair. And just going off that, kind of had a second question.
Sure.
What would you say were the most influential books you have read for someone specifically in my age group and kind of where I am in my career?
Yeah. So my favorite book is Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. I still read it every day, and it has layers to it. I love books that grow with me. They just mean something different every time I read it year by year. The second book would be Dr. Wayne Dyer, Power of Intention, which is understanding what I call the blend of persistence and patience, the blend of the pragmatic world with the spiritual world, the laws of gravity combined with the law of Goya, get off your ass, and the law of attraction. All of those are encompassed. And I listen to Wayne Dyer every day. I don't read that. I read Napoleon Hill every day. And then one of the texts that I read for the last 5.5 years that is extremely influential, and it's way out there, but it has layers to it, and it will rock your world and change your life, is A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles, it has some religious connotations to it. If depending on what religion you're in, you can change words, to meet what you want. But it will challenge and build muscles in your mind. Some more recent books just to be helpful that I read, big Atomic Habits fan with James Clear, The Alter Ego Effect with Herman, Don't Take Yes for an Answer by Hertz. Those are some of the ones that I've read recently that are influential in my life. But I read every day those 3 books and encourage everyone else to at least look at them. If it's not aligned with you or you're not ready yet, so be it. Go find something good to read. You got to read something, you got to listen to something. And looks like we're running out of time, though. Thank you so much, John, Sean, Mike, Jake up here. Everybody, please give everybody a follow before we leave. Remember, I'm here every Friday. I've been doing trainings for over 20 years. If you want any of the exercises, guides, my books, I have shipmeyyourbook.com for free. Ship it. I don't charge for shipping. I'll sign it, send it to you. And any of the exercises I talked about or you have found, from ego to sales to no-go plans, it doesn't matter. They're all there. Catch the 2-minute drill. It's on tonight. If you haven't seen it on Amazon Prime or Bloomberg TV. And then next week, join me for Being Vulnerable and Not Perfect. Remember, most importantly, everybody, be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. I'll see you guys later.
This January comes the next hit business show, 2-Minute Drill. 4 companies will have 2 minutes to pitch their business, competing for $50,000 in cash and prizes. Will they rise to the occasion or crumble under the pressure?
You want to give yourself a critique or what?
Crunching your way to a healthier new you.
This is a great idea. Too bad you have it.
David Meltzer hosts 2-Minute Drill.